Hey there, my name is Acton with Acton Creative, and this is a Handwoven Experience. In today's episode, I'm going to give you my 6 weaving do's and don'ts. Recently, I had a couple students reach out with some questions that weren't necessarily about right or wrong, just what's important and what isn't important. And I thought, you know what, this is a really good topic. And keep in mind that every teacher may have slightly different advice when it comes to some of these, but for me, my goal is to make weaving as easy and approachable as possible so you will do lots of it. So if you're on board with that, let me give you my list of weaving do's and don'ts, starting with tension. Do try to create good tension. As you're winding your warp into your loom, stay sharp. Watch for how it is winding onto the beam and try to create as best a set of tension as you can, because weaving is just more fun if the tension is even. Do not worry about little blips along the way. There may be occasions where you have maybe a yarn or two seem a little looser than the others or a little tighter. If they're tighter, watch to make sure something isn't caught so it won't break. But otherwise, if you have little discrepancies in the tension, don't worry, weave on, friend. Don't worry about adding weight if you have a little sag. If it's a lot of sag, maybe add some weight. But if it's a little sag, don't worry, just keep going. It will work itself out. Just with forwarding the fabric, most of it will vanish. So do focus on creating good tension, but then after that, don't stress any kind of little blips along the way. Number 2, this has to do with the project in the reed. Do not worry about getting it exactly in the middle of the loom. Friends, get close. That is your job. Get close to the center of the loom. Don't spend a lot of time counting every single yarn to make sure that it's precisely exactly in the middle. Nah, your loom is not going to care about that. However, do make sure that you have your yarns evenly spaced in the reed. That is going to affect what your fabric looks like in the end. So of those things, focus more on spacing your warp yarns evenly here in the reed. That's a bigger impact. Number 3, let's talk about picks. Do not worry if you have slight unevenness in your picks. Picks are the weft, the row of weft that goes from left to right. And I would say, don't worry about it. If you've got a couple that are closer together and then they spread out back into kind of some evenness, when this all comes off the loom and everything relaxes, a lot of sins are forgiven, let alone when it goes to the washer and dryer and things all shift. Oh, you have plenty of time for those yarns to kind of even themselves out. Don't worry if you have little sections where you're like, ooh, these 2 rows are a little closer than these 2 rows. Don't worry about that. Instead, focus on finding a rhythm for how you're throwing the shuttle, switching your shafts, pulling the beater bar. Focus on finding a rhythm that you can do 100 million times over and over and over again, consistently. That is really the bigger issue there. Don't worry about a few rows that are closer or farther apart. Instead, focus on how am I throwing the shuttle, moving the shafts, moving the beater bar, like that whole little dance. Find a dance that you really enjoy, is comfortable for you, that you can do over and over ad nauseum. Number 4, let's talk about edges. Do not stress over having one edge that's wonky and crazy and the other one that's straight. Here's a little tip for you. Every weaver has one side that's worse than the other. Everyone does. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. And eventually you get to a point where they're both pretty good, but there's always one side. For me, I found it was always a side that I obsessed over that was worse than the other. So if you have one side that's a little more wobbly than the other, or it pulls in more, friend, do not stress over that. That is going to come with just doing it 100 million times. That is going to come with practice. That is just going to come with, getting better with each project that you do. Pretty much the more you worry about it, the more it'll make you nuts. So let it go. Just don't worry about the edges. Instead, do be aware that the size of your weft yarn is going to influence how your edges look. Here's what I mean. If you're working with a really big, fat, chunky weft, fabulous. It is going to spread your yarns out. If you're working with a tiny, delicate kind of weft, it is going to naturally pull them in. There's something about science there. It is just going to happen. So if you're using all of one weft, you're sitting pretty. But if you're alternating between a chunky weft and a really tiny, delicate weft, you may have some kind of hourglass action happening there. And then it's up to you to decide, okay, how do I split the difference? How can I control those so that my edges are even? So instead of really worrying about, oh, my right side is always just a hole over the river and through the woods kind of thing, don't worry about it. Just enjoy the process, keep weaving, work on having a consistent rhythm, and it'll get better. Next, number 5, let's talk about mistakes. Oh, the mistakes. Friend, here is my big do for you when it comes to mistakes. Do have a thorough look at your project right before you start weaving. That's the magic spot. You have set it all up. You haven't thrown the shuttle yet. That is your moment when it is easiest to fix any kind of threading issues, any kind of slaying issues. That's the spot. So take a pause, take a breath, lift and lower all of the shafts, put your little face in there, see if anything's twisted. Take a moment to really look it over before you start weaving. That is the moment that you can fix things. So do thoroughly check things before you're off to the races. Do not give yourself a hard time when the mistakes still come up. Just don't do it. As I like to say, everyone say it with me, there is no weaving police. No, there's not. If you find a mistake after you've started, great. We're gonna call it a design decision. That is all up to you. Friends, this is hand woven. If we want it perfect, we'd have a machine do it. Don't worry about it. Do your best, catch some mistakes right before you start weaving, and then let it go. Don't give it another thought. As a matter of fact, as a teacher, I like to say you have full permission to leave it in. Yes, you really do. It's your project. Who's gonna grade you? Psh, you got it. And number 6 is about planning. Do be sure you're adding extra to your project. Here's what I mean. If you want to make a 6-foot table runner, my friend, you have to add a lot more than 72 inches to get a final product that is 6 foot. You need to have inches for loom waist, which is this kind of dead area in the middle. And between that and the knots, I like to always add about 28 inches, but that will depend on your loom, the size, the style, and kind of how you work. So if you want to just bump it up, just add another yard to every project so that you have your bases covered. Also, don't forget about shrinkage. If your project has to go through a washer and dryer, it's going to shrink. If you need a number, start with 10%. That's where I start. Don't get hung up in the planning. It's so easy to do, isn't it? It is so easy to agonize over every little bit. Oh, I want it to be just right. It has to be exactly these colors in this order and this many inches. Friends, don't get stuck there. The goal is to be weaving. So get the plan good enough, and then off you go. Start dressing a loom. Let's throw a shuttle. Are you with me? All right. Those were my 6 do's and don'ts when it comes to dressing a loom, the weaving process, all of the things. Now, I am sure I am missing many, many, many do's and don'ts. So in the comments, put your favorite do and don't of things that you've learned during your experience as a weaver, because I love it when we can all add to the conversation and we all get smarter because of it. It's a good thing. So my friend, I hope this gave you a little something to chew on and maybe help you take a load off your shoulders, because you're like, oh, maybe I don't have to worry about all these things. Trust me, you don't have to worry about all these things. You got it. Have a great week, friend. Happy weaving.